All right. Hello and welcome to Winterviews, Series 5, Episode 8. I think this is 8. Easy to lose count. Sorry about that. I'm your host, Catherine Silva, Cat for short. And tonight we have Briana Morgan in the house. How's it going?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. I am honestly super, super excited to have you here. Um, you were one of the first self pub authors that I saw in the horror space um, several years ago, and
A while ago.
instantly, well, I wanted to say though, you were self published and successful,
Thank you.
and really like lit a fire under my ass that was like, okay, I need to like do something different
Hmm.
with my platforming because this person's got it figured out and they're doing a kick-ass job. Um,
Thank you.
so you have been an inspiration, just so you know.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Um, and we're going to be talking about a genre that is really a staple within the horror genre. Who doesn't love a good haunted house story, or haunted, whatever piece of architecture, what have you.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I guess we'll get into that in a second. But first, I do want to just give you a chance to sort of introduce yourself to our audience. Um, Sort of tell them a little bit about yourself and about a few of the books that you've put out.
Yeah. So my name is Briana Morgan. I tend to go by Bri. My pronouns are she, her. I've published, I want to say 9 books, I think. Some of them blur together, if I'm being honest. But I've written 2 plays, 2 novellas, and then the rest are novels.
Cool.
Some of my books include The Reyes Incident, which had a moment on TikTok that was pretty exciting. Unboxed, which is my horror play, and then The Trick or Treater and Other Stories is another one I'm known for.
Nice, nice. Um, I want to ask you, as far as like writing horror plays versus the novella story,
Hmm.
the novella novel, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Structure, I guess. How do you find it easier to write plays, or is it just sort of, I don't know, flexing a different muscle?
I would say it's more like flexing a different muscle. It's easier in some ways, but trickier in others. For example, when you're writing, there's the whole show don't tell adage, but when you're writing a play, especially, you have to show and not tell because you're limited. You can't
Mm,
necessarily show a character's inner thoughts. I mean, I could have someone monologue, but it sort of creates more distance between the actor and the audience, and I don't like doing that in my plays. I want it to feel as real life as a play can feel.
yeah.
Um, and I will say the pacing tends to be easier for me in plays because you don't have to worry as much about, like hitting the emotional beats right off the bat. It's
Okay.
balancing the dialogue primarily, especially in my first drafts, they're almost all dialogue. And then I go in and I add stage directions. Whereas for a novel or a novella, obviously, you want to make sure you're slowing down in the slow moments, you're speeding up
Mhm.
the moments you need to get through really quickly. And it takes a lot more juggling, I would say.
Okay. Yeah. That's I imagine that stage writing is very similar to script writing for
Hmm.
film, um, of which I do know somebody who does that. But it's not something that I've ever tried, so I'm always interested in learning a little bit more about it.
Hmm. And I haven't tried writing for the screen before, but I know that one key difference between like playwriting and writing for film or television, is that you can kind of control, like in the script, you can put what kind of shots you envision, or, whether
Mm,
you want the camera to be close up or far away. And you can't really do that
yeah.
with theater because it's just an entire stage.
Yep. Hmm. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I hadn't even thought about that, and that's very upfront. Um, so the other thing that we're going to talk about tonight, besides haunted houses, is the fact that we have an upcoming book that is scheduled to come out in October, I believe.
October 6th. Yes.
October 6th. And do you want to just sort of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so you know this, and probably some people watching will know this, but I've been writing a book it was originally called Tiger Cult. It is now called How to Escape a Tiger Cult. It's about a girl named Sarah who starts working at this wildlife park in Florida and accidentally joins a cult and has to escape from it. So it is my it's my debut thriller. It's a psychological / cult thriller, and it's a wild ride. It's loosely inspired by Tiger King, but you don't have to have seen Tiger King or anything like that in the main story. It's not like Tiger King fan fiction. It's just like loosely related.
No. Certainly, it's not it's a documentary though. Tiger King is kind of like a documentary though.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not like, I remember when that came out and it was a huge thing, and I stupidly never watched it. But I do remember that it made an impact. And so it's really cool that you got inspired by it. And I can't wait to read the book personally.
Thank you. It has been quite the journey from, I sold it on proposal to Dark Lit, and then Dark Lit shut down. And I tried querying it, but I just kind of wasn't getting the vision for it from anyone else like I had for it myself. And I was like, you know what? I just want the book out there at this point. And I know I can do a good job with it. So I'm just going to put it out there.
Yeah. That's the one difficult thing about the query trenches, is that you do have to find an agent that is going to understand your exact vision. And I think what happens a lot of the time is they'll see the name, they'll read the opening chapter, and they'll envision something totally different. And then it doesn't quite go the way that they had hoped. And
yeah,
it's I understand the frustration, as I am in the querying trenches at the moment. So it's a brutal ride, but I love that you've gotten to the point where this is going to be a thing. And we know it's going to be successful. It's going to be an awesome book.
I hope so. I've been working so hard, and for me, I think it's more important to me that my readers and the people who have really been waiting for it get it in their hands. That's more important to me for this one than anything else, because it's been such a wild ride and such a journey that, I feel like I almost owe it to people for supporting me throughout the writing and publication of it. So I guess it's kind of a love letter to my fans.
That's cool. That's cool. And also it's it can be really hard to have a book like that and try and try and try, and then have to be like, well, maybe I'll put it away and try to bring it back out in a few years and see if it does anything. And it's, especially with something that was inspired by a documentary that had its moment, that was like really
a cultural touchstone.
You want to make sure that it comes out at a time when people are still able to reference, hey, that was, Tiger Cult.
Yeah.
Or Tiger King, excuse me. And
I do it all the time. I'll probably do it on this podcast. I'll probably do it in every other interview. I mix them up constantly. That's part of why I changed the title, because when it was just Tiger Cult, it was a lot easier to mess it up. But when it's how to escape a tiger cult,
Yes,
there's a little more there.
a little more distance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I apologize if I do that again.
Oh, you're
Without
fine.
meaning to. But yeah. So we'll talk a little bit more about how to escape a tiger cult later on in the episode. But as far as our subject goes, we're talking about haunted houses. Everybody's got a favorite haunted house, something or other, film, book, video game, what have you,
Mm-hmm.
board game. What is it about haunted houses in horror that you think has made the genre stand the test of time?
I think it has a lot to do with the fact that, so in the case of the haunted house, we feel the most safe at home. And not everybody has like a really nice house, but everyone has some place where they sleep at night, some place they call home, and that's like your ultimate sanctuary. And with the haunted house, that sanctuary is violated. And the one place that you're supposed to feel safe, you can't feel safe, and often don't know why you don't feel safe or aren't sure how to feel safe in it again. So I think, that evolutionary fear really leads to the pervasiveness of the haunted house.
Hmm. And I guess the other thing about it is that, do you think that the personalized feeling of a haunted house versus another haunted like location is, I don't know, more has made it more like, this is more frightening, I guess,
Yeah,
than
it's more visceral, right? Because it's, it, you sleep there, you shower there, you eat there, and all of that, and it's just the idea that in your most vulnerable moments you could be at any time, haunted or attacked by some entity, monster, demon, ghost, what have you. It's
Mhm.
just, I don't know, it's terrifying. It's it's sometimes presented as like a metaphor for anxiety, and that's how I've seen it
Mm,
before. And it does feel very apt. I suffer from anxiety, and I've personally felt that before, where I should feel the most comfortable in my body, in my home, but because of anxiety, I don't always feel like that. I'm always like, okay, what's going to pop up next, or what's going to, not a ghost, but just like
yeah.
taxes and stuff.
um I also suffer from like an anxiety disorder, and I had never actually made that connection, but that really does work.
Hmm.
um it's and it's hard to know when it's going to hit you, just like I guess a haunted house, you never know when it's going to
Yeah.
do its thing. But yeah, the idea of not being safe in a safe place is terrifying.
Hmm.
So I guess my next question is not one that I had asked here, so I'm sorry. I'm just ad-libbing now. Um, in terms of the next most haunted like thing, would you say, after haunted houses, would you say it's like haunted asylums or
Oh,
or haunted I feel like there was one more I was gonna say. It was haunted asylums, and then there was
I would think the closest thing to like a haunted house in terms of the, feeling safe but being very unsafe would be haunted school.
ah
Because I'm
yep,
tempted to go haunted hospital, haunted asylum, but a
yeah,
lot of people don't feel safe in those places. It's kind of, those are both spaces where you're already freaked out in some
yep,
capacity. And I think school, you go there every day. It's pretty much the same thing all the time. But if the school's haunted,
yep.
that's
No,
wild.
that's fair. I'm actually trying to think of a haunted school. Um, I guess White Knight is a haunted school. I was trying to think of like a
Hmm.
piece of um, some sort of media that does haunted school, and right now, of course, my mind is coming up blank because
Yeah, I can't really think of many haunted schools either. I can just think of like, for example, the new Silent Hill game. There's part of it where you're in a school, but that's not the whole game.
that's right. Um, and well, a few of the Silent Hill games actually
Yeah,
do
yeah.
cool. So, yeah. So, my next question: do you agree that haunted house horror is more often about those who lived in the house versus the actual home itself?
Yes, because I mean, oftentimes what makes the haunting scary is what the people went through to become ghosts, or the tension that was between them when they were alive sometimes can carry over to when they're dead. Like I can't think of a good example of that, but for example, like a couple who had a very toxic relationship in life, the book about them would be more about, maybe how they're yelling at each other in the afterlife and making the current occupants' lives hell and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you just had like, I have read several books where the focus is more on the house, like the September House, for example. That's a
What have
great book.
you?
And there are ghosts in it, but it's more about the house itself being off. Um,
Okay.
I actually think that book does a great job of balancing the weirdness of the house with the past of its ghostly
Mm-hmm.
tenants, because there you get a little bit of both. Like the house does weird stuff on its own, but then it also kind of picks up in September when all this other ghost stuff starts happening.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely this like I've seen where books where it is more about a certain ghost that is
Hmm.
causing trouble, and then there's also the idea of a haunted house that's haunted by lots and lots and lots of ghosts, and it's made the house almost like stained
Hmm.
by all of this past trauma.
Yeah.
um and I think of things like the house from the first season of American Horror Story,
Yes.
um, where you just have like ghosts sort of building up in
Hmm.
this house. Um, and you think of not a house, but the hotel in that season of American Horror Story.
Yeah.
American Horror Story's got a lot of haunted.
They love a haunted place.
Um, but I think that they do a very good job of making the house or the hotel or whatever it is have a peculiarness
Hmm.
to it while also highlighting each ghost's issue.
Yeah.
Um, and then I was trying to think. There's oh
The
goodness.
one that I just thought of was 13 Ghosts, where the
Oh
house
my
the house
god.
is weird, but it's weird because it's like man-made weird, because it's got like the
Yes.
sliding glass walls and stuff to kind of contain the ghosts, but there are also a lot of ghosts in there, and they're all
Yeah.
kind of messed
So
up.
that one is really cool because that one is like the house is made to contain the ghosts,
Hmm.
and it's made to interact with the ghosts versus
It's
it
designed
being,
to be haunted.
yeah, it's not a house that somebody has like necessarily been killed in, and then they're stuck there
Hmm.
inadvertently.
Yeah.
It's been designed as a machine that is supposed to interact with the ghosts, and that is a
Yeah.
really cool one.
It's I mean, that movie's wild. I watched it way too young, so it was like formative. But even watching it now, it's interesting to me how you don't really get the backstories for the ghosts, but their designs still tell you so much about their lives. And I would actually argue, some people might get mad at me for this, but I would actually argue that the ghost designs in 13 Ghosts are better than the whole movie.
So I'll agree with you. And the reason being, I don't know if you ever were entreated to the DVD version of
No, I
13
only ever
Ghosts.
saw it on TV. Like it would be on
Oh,
AMC all the time. So I would just watch it on AMC.
so Robbie agrees.
Of course.
Um, but so back in high school, two friends, I was staying over at a friend's house. We watched 13 Ghosts, stayed up super late watching it. I think I was the only one that actually stayed up through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And on the DVD, there are backstories for every single ghost,
Oh.
including art. You know,
Oh.
there's one art.
Yeah.
But they, they went into it. They had everything all figured out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's really cool because it shows that there was this world building element that we never got to see, that still informed like how the
Mm-hmm.
movie was created. And there have been rumors that there's supposed to be a TV series at some point.
Yeah, I think it would make a great TV series because you could have each episode could be going into the backstory of a different ghost.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally I would love to write that or something like it. But I just think the depth that they clearly gave the characters really deserves its own kind of room to breathe and flourish, I guess,
Yeah.
in a way that the movie did not allow, because the movie's all like, oh, this is a gnarly kill and this is a weird house and here's Matthew Lillard.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. Nope. That's fair. It was a reboot, or not a reboot, excuse me. It was a remake of an older 13 Ghost movie, which I have not seen.
It's okay. It's very the early aughts one is very much of its time, I will say.
Okay.
And it kind of is it's very aware kind of how campy it is, and the old one is trying, I think, a little too hard to be scary.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, this is silly, guys. This is silly.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's okay to be silly, but
Sure.
I don't know. If you know it's camp, just lean into the camp.
Yeah. If it's not intended to be silly and it's writing silly, then that's almost worse.
Yeah.
But you're so talking about 13 Ghosts actually did make me remember what I was going to say. There is a small indie game that came out several years ago. And for the life of me, I can now not remember the name of it. Anatomy. It was called Anatomy.
Oh, I didn't play that one.
And it is basically it's a sort of repeat game in the style of PT. So you're doing the same thing kind of over and over again, and little things are changing. And you're basically going into a house and you're pressing play on a tape deck, and it's playing a different section of like a recording, an old recording. And it goes through each room and describes how that room is related to a part of like the human body.
Oh.
And it's really spooky and really creepy and really minimalist. Like it allows you to sort of build up your own fear about what you're about to encounter without actually encountering much. And I really like that take on it. I like the take that the house is kind of alive in some way. But I feel like, and I clearly have not read as much haunted house fiction, but I would love to see more of that, I think, in a fictional book, because that feels less like it's people haunting a house and more like house personification, something that's come alive, I guess.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but I don't
The
know if you've
only
seen something like that.
I was just gonna say the only thing that comes to mind is like my version of a haunted house story is the Mistake House from the Trick or Treater and Other Stories, and that's more like the house is doing the haunting, the house is making the
Cool.
people wrong, and it's haunted house horror and body horror at the same time. But it's
Okay,
there's no ghosts, it's just the house is kind of evil.
that's cool. Um, tell us more. Like, in what was the inspiration for that?
I One of my main inspirations is, Cronenberg. His films are just phenomenal. The body horror in that. I
Yeah.
saw Videodrome when I was like 16, and I think it completely altered my brain chemistry. And now I'm wrong, but it's okay because it's fun. And just the idea of like Cronenberg really got me into body horror because I didn't quite get it before then, but just the idea that like one minute you look down and it's just your normal stomach, and then you look down again and there's a mouth there. What is that
Mm,
about? That's
yeah.
horrifying. Um, that's basically what that story is like. Things start changing in the house, and then the people who live inside it, there's little things that start changing, like one of their eyes moves somewhere else, or they're
Hmm.
missing an ear suddenly. It's things like that, and it's just like the fear comes from like what's going to change next, and why is this happening to us?
Okay. That's cool. I like that. I want to read that now.
And it's very short, but it's probably one of my favorite pieces I've ever written because it's one of those things where I wrote it and I was like, do I need to go back to therapy? Hmm.
um, no. Uh, I mean, so it makes me think of what's the, oh God. See, now this is terrible. This happens to me every time
This
I
is what
try
I
to
thought was
remember.
going to happen with me. Like when I was reading the questions you sent over, where you're asking like what movies, books, games I like that have a haunted house. I was like, oh God, I have to memorize some because every podcast I'm on, I suddenly forget every piece of media I have ever seen in my life.
No, that's this
So,
happens to me every time. So please do not feel bad. Like, I just have like the worst memory. Um and now I'm going to have to try and look it up like a moron. Um
it happens.
but I also suffer from a phone that doesn't want to work. Um
Is what you're
I
thinking of? Is it a book or a
It
movie?
is a book. The
Okay.
Cipher? It's the Cipher,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. I have not
about
read that one.
the whole appearing in the basement of somebody's
Oh,
house.
I like that.
And so that makes me think of your story.
Hmm.
Um I have not read The Cipher. I'm just going to go out there and say that, but I do get this feeling of Cronenberg-esque like
Hmm.
stuff
Yeah.
from it. I think it is very similar in tone to what you're describing, and could certainly be worth a read.
Yeah.
Um, there's a
The
lot of like,
last the last haunted
no,
house book I tried to read, I should have I feel like we should have already probably started talking about this, but it was House of Leaves. I've tried to read that book four
mm,
times and I still cannot finish it. I think it's more of an endurance test than a book. And I do really like the parts of it that I've understood, but I don't think I have the attention span.
um, it's a it's a big book. I actually don't
Yeah,
have it
it's huge.
here.
It's like this big.
Oh, yes, I do.
I used to have it
Yeah,
propping up my monitor.
yeah. So for those of you, oh, I'm dropping shit. For those of you who don't know, this is the
Yeah,
House
that's
of
it.
Leaves. It is a massive tome, and I I have not. read it the whole way through either. Um, I think that it's one of those books that has so many layers. It's very easy to get lost in them.
Yeah.
But it's also because it's trying to, it's a, what we talked about earlier this season, it's a nested narrative.
Hmm.
It is trying to pull you in on so many levels so that you almost forget that you are reading it versus experiencing it.
Yeah.
Is part of the terror of it.
I mean, I remember being absolutely, it's toward the beginning because I haven't made it very far, but there's this part where he's describing, and I don't know which one of them it is, but one of them, one of the people talking in the book is talking about how this house, like they measured it, uh, and it's, you know, it's this one measurement, and then they find a room in it, and the room is bigger than the measurement of the house itself
Mhm.
or something like that. And you're like, oh God, that's, I don't like that. And that's not even like there's no ghost or anything
Yeah.
involved there. It's
It's
just a
just sort of
subtle,
defined.
yeah, you're like, this is not right. This house is wrong.
Yeah. No, it's that is definitely a book too that has it's stood the test of time, which you know, it's still a fairly recent book compared to others,
Hmm.
um but it's definitely one of the ones that people think of when they think of haunted house. Is just a house that's not right, and it's, from what I understand about the book, you never really know why it's not
Hmm.
right. It's just that it's not right. And for some reason,
Yeah.
that's scarier
And it
than no.
doesn't really seem to be like we talked about earlier. It doesn't seem to be about the people who lived there before. It's just this house is not right and it's always been
Yeah.
not right and it's probably going to be not right forever.
Yeah. Which I like. I'm one of those people that does not necessarily like when something is over explained
Hmm.
in a book. Um, Again, it's just scary or not knowing why
Yeah,
sometimes.
it is. It is for sure.
Um, when we're talking about houses and different rooms in houses, typically there are two that come to mind as being the most frightening, and that is either basement or attic, up or down. Um, in your opinion, which one of them do you think is more frightening and why?
So in my own house, I would say the attic because I never go up there and it's really hot. But typically, I would say the basement. Just our basement is just we have a finished basement, and that's where like
Mm,
I watch movies and play on the computer. So it's not really like it's not scary to me. But I have
yeah.
been in scary basements. There, I have this very core memory of when I was a kid visiting my grandma and grandpa in Ohio, and there was just like it's never been explained to me. There was just a big hole in their
Ooh,
basement, like
that's the
bottomless
same.
pit. I mean, I was a kid, so you know, I don't know how deep it actually was, but in my memory, I think back to it and it was like bottomless and there's like no fence around it. There's no like
Jeez.
nothing to block you off from it. My grandma was just like, don't go near the hole. And I still don't know what the hole was for. I've asked my mom and she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that
That's
kind of
scary.
scares me. That's a
Yeah.
scary basement.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, we had, so I'm New England. We have a, you know, one of those unfinished stone basements that I
Mhm.
grew up in my house. And there's a well in the basement,
Oh
which
God.
is not, it's filled though. It's not like a bottomless pit, but it's a filled well. Um,
You're asking for the girl from the ring to come up through that though.
Basically.
Pretty much.
But it's not like that. The thing is that that's not even the scariest part about that basement. It's that there is a just a cabinet down there, um, that's always been down there, and I feel like there was stuff in that cabinet, like, but I don't remember it very strongly. It's almost like that
Yeah.
memory is kind of like, I don't know, been futzed with a little bit.
Yeah, but your brain knows it's wrong. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so I'm still of the opinion that the basement is more terrifying than
Yeah.
the attic. Um,
Basements are scary. Also, like, I grew up in Florida, so I hadn't even, the only basement I knew of was the one at like my grandparents' house in West Virginia. For the longest time, I didn't think anybody actually had basements anymore.
Mhm.
So that kind of added to the terror of the basement.
I'm a little embarrassed by the fact that I only recently found out that you guys don't have basements
Well, I
down,
do. I'm in Georgia now, so we do have basements here, but
but
Florida, I
Florida,
mean, there's a lot of like sand and coral and stuff. So,
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I learned that while watching the movie Crawl,
oh, with the
which
alligators.
is so dumb.
That movie maybe like it didn't scare me, but I was so sweaty after watching that movie. And I
It's
don't think
intense.
it's intense. I've never been more glad to not be in Florida than well, that movie and then the show Florida Man, those are the two I would say that make
Oh
me really
God,
glad I'm not in Florida anymore. I like to
yeah,
visit.
yeah, that's fair. That's fair. No, I know nothing about the show Florida Man, but I can imagine I know what it's about.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's exactly what you think it is.
yeah, yeah. Um,
But yeah, basements are just scarier. I've even like stayed and finished like people's guest bedrooms in basements before, and everything feels fine. It looks fine. There's just something, I don't know. There's just something off about being in
yeah,
a basement by yourself.
yeah. Um, I think it was like a few years ago we ended up staying in like we were going for a wedding. We stayed in somebody's basement um because that was the only room that was available
Hmm.
and and definitely got this like it was in a condo too. So it was not like terrible, but it was also just this sort of vast liminal space with
Yeah.
concrete floor and like a few boxes around and it just had this like I don't know um there's dread a
Yeah.
feeling of um it's almost like I'd rather have it be a smaller room. There's something
Hmm.
about the bigger vaster space that's a little more frightening. um
Yeah. I think too, it's like, I don't know. I feel less safe in a basement than I do an attic because, like, if I'm in an attic, I can maybe bust through the roof or something. But if you're in the basement, what are you going to do? You have all this stuff above you, and then you're like surrounded by, if it's a finished basement, you're surrounded by the ground.
yep, yeah,
So
you
where are
feel
you going to
trapped.
go? Hmm.
There's a really good story um that someone wrote. Emma Gibbon, who is a fellow Maine writer, wrote a short story called Cellar Door,
Ooh,
and it's in her collection that she put out a few years ago. And it's still one of the best haunted basement stories that I've
I'm gonna
read.
look that up after this because it's
It's
been a while
good.
since I read a good spooky basement story.
Yeah, it's a good one. So it's definitely that like something's wrong with the house kind of
Hmm.
story. Um, so segueing into another question, which is about the environment around a haunted house. Um, Oftentimes, it includes a nearby town with residents who have stories about that old place.
Hmm.
Um, do you prefer a haunted house with a bit of a backstory already, or one that allows the reader to unveil its secrets as the book goes on?
Oh, I think I like a little of both. I like, unfortunately, I think it does just fall into it's a little overdone in horror. The whole like that place is bad, you got to stay away from that place. But if it's,
Hmm.
I like if it's like the Blair Witch Project, for example, where you think it's one thing and then it's kind of not clear what it is, or it's something else completely different. That's a lot of fun. I'm trying to think of another haunted house that does that, but I see. I said I've just forgotten every piece of media I've ever consumed.
um,
Well, I have a good one. It's
yeah,
a found footage horror film, Hell House LLC. I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not. I do know of it though.
Hmm. But it's interesting because it's a haunted house, but it's like a haunt, but it's a haunt that is also haunted. And
Okay.
that's interesting because it's like people are like that place used to be an old hotel and it's never been right. But you have no idea how wrong it's going to be, or how, it does seem like a creepy place, but it doesn't seem like, try not to spoil it. Um, it's creepy, but it's not, you wouldn't expect it to be creepy because you're just like, oh, it's just a haunt. It just looks creepy. It's not actually
Mhm.
creepy. It's just like fun, people jumping out in masks and stuff. But that's a really good one. There are some really chilling
Okay.
moments in that. That has a scary basement in it as well.
Okay. All
It's a
right.
very scary basement.
Okay. Um, I think that I don't know why I'm trying to remember exactly why it's sticking out to me, but I feel like there's a haunted house mentioned in Dan Simmons' Summer of Night,
I
but I
think
don't
so.
but I
It's been
don't
so long.
know. I can't remember if it actually like if it's I don't remember what its relation is to the story, and I feel kind of
He could have
like
just mentioned
a
that he went
jerk.
to one. I don't know.
Yeah, I just like I can't remember. It's been too long. Um, but I do remember how it's described, and that has stayed with me because it is one of those like all the kids in town know that there's something
Hmm.
wrong with that place.
Yeah.
Um, but I can't remember how it fits into the story. Um,
The one I always like to talk about too is like the town of Derry in it,
mm,
because the whole town is wrong. You just
yep,
know the whole town's wrong, but then you also have the house at Neibolt Street, which is also wrong, but in a different way. And then
yep.
that's before you even get the clown situation going on in there. It's just like one thing after another. Why do people still live here?
Hmm. Oh, and
It's
then
terrifying.
you get Silent Hill also
Yeah,
going rounding back to Silent Hill where the whole town is
wrong.
wrong. Um, and that's a cool thought too, is just like it's not just one place, it's
Like the
everything.
land almost is haunted,
Yeah. Yep.
which is where they ended up going with it in Welcome to Derry in the series. They kind of made it more clear that it's about the land and like the geographic area that's
Uh-huh.
haunted.
See, I haven't watched any of that series. I haven't had the chance to, but I like that.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
Don't love the CGI in parts of it, but
Um,
I get why they did it the way they did it, and overall, I thought it was pretty strong. But
okay.
they do a really excellent job of showing the whole town as a haunted house in that one, as well as each one of the kids is kind of haunted by something too.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. I definitely do need to watch that. Um, so I want to sort of bring this full circle here and get back to How to Escape a Tiger Cult. Um, and I want you to just sort of tell us a little bit about how you may have used haunted houses as part of an inspiration for working on that book.
Yeah, so it's funny because initially when I brought this topic up, I didn't think it related, but there are a few scenes in How to Escape a Tiger Cult that relate to kind of a house being haunted, energetically, or by the people who live there. For example, there's the guy who owns the wildlife park. His name is Vega. He has they call it the big house. He has like the nicest house. It's one of those like old Florida houses. You don't know how old it is. And the first time the main character, Sarah, kind of experiences the house, she hears noises coming from it, and she doesn't know what the noises are. And later she goes in to investigate the noises, and she finds, like, she hears more noises, and then she finds a bunch of photographs that kind of show a deeper history. And all the people in the photographs are alive, but it's a different version of them than the version she's met.
Okay.
They've just, like, the people she's met, she can't draw the relation between those people and the people in the photos, because it's an entirely different side of them that she's seeing. So in a way, the house is haunted, and you come to find out that the Vegas kids live in the house, and they're mostly kept inside the house, and they're not allowed to go off the compound. They're not allowed. They don't have social security numbers. They're kind of ghost children living in this house, and they're trapped there in the way that a lot of ghosts are trapped.
Okay. That's kind of taking a page out of Jane Eyre a little bit too, which I like.
I love Jane Eyre.
Yeah, because obviously we've got the not really ex-wife, the wife in the attic situation, who sort of moves like a ghost throughout the book, and that's cool. I dig that. So, and
then in How to Escape a Tiger Cult, it's also like Sarah's kind of being haunted by the other women that work there, and the women that Vega's with, because she thinks that he's a different person with each woman, and she is constantly dealing with they all have a very open relationship, but she's not used to that. So she's like dealing with, are they saying stuff behind my back? Is he saying different things to them than he's saying to me? And it's kind of like, it feels kind of fever dreamy.
Yeah. You're not sure who to trust. Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, I definitely, I'm super excited. I don't know if I can wait until October.
There's also this one part that kind of deals with her finding something traumatic in a house, but I might change that, so I don't necessarily want to talk about that. But right now there's a scene where she finds something in a house that hints that something bad happened in that house before.
Okay.
So that's the closest I would say it gets to a haunted house story, but I might change that, like I said.
History.
Yeah, I just keep kicking this scene back and forth. Like, I thought it fit better at the end of the book, and then I moved it to the beginning, and then I just moved it back to the end, so who knows?
Well, we'll see if it makes it the other thing is that even if you decide that you don't want to keep it in the book, you can still like tease it as extra material or
yeah, and anyone who listens to this podcast will have like a little Easter egg insight into it.
As far as haunted houses go, I think we'd be remiss to not bring up Shirley Jackson, because that is the Haunting of Hill House is kind of like the
so good
big one that people think of. I guess was this a book that you read, or have you read this book? I guess is the fair thing to say.
I in college I went through a Shirley Jackson phase, and honestly, the best compliment I've ever got in my life, and I don't necessarily believe it, but there was one story I wrote while in college in my creative writing program, and someone said that the voice reminded them of Shirley Jackson, and I should have just quit writing then, honestly, because I don't think I'll be able to top that. But yeah, Hill House is just so good because it's so scary. It's an older book and it's so scary. And I think it's just, the people are as haunted as the house is. And they're just normal people trying to live in this house, and the house is not letting them just live their normal lives. And then, the adaptation, Mike Flanagan's adaptation, impeccable. absolutely terrifying. Probably one of the scariest shows I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I agree. I like them both for very different reasons. There's something, the psychological horror of the original is, I think psychological horror, which, stay tuned, that's next week's episode, is just absolutely terrifying to me. So the fact that it is playing with this idea that this character does not know whether or not they're losing their mind, versus like understanding that there is something wrong with this place is more frightening to me. Just me. But Mike Flanagan's series goes into the, I don't know, it rehatches the story in such an unbelievably fun way by digging into this family. And I feel like I can't say what I want to say because it's going to give something away, and that kills me.
Yeah, I would say the thing I always like to talk about with The Haunting of Hill House is, you know, the book you get, it's very much a sense of creeping dread throughout. There, it's not like really in your face horror. It's just very unsettling. The Haunting of Hill House, the show, you still get that creeping dread, but there's a lot of jump scares or really like really memorable images that are unsettling by themselves, but then combined with the creeping dread when you're already tense from waiting for that stuff to build up is just horrifying. Like, I gotta go through sometime and watch. Someone said that there's like a hidden ghost in every single frame in the background of every scene or something like that. And I've caught a few of them, but I'm like, oh, it's so scary when you're just watching what you think is a normal scene and then you turn and you see something in the background.
We caught a few of them the first go through, and then I went back and rewatched, and like knowing that that was a thing, and I'm sure I missed a bunch of them.
Yeah.
But it, you know, when you're on the lookout for those things, it's far more like, oh God.
And it's weird because it'll just be like there's a scene in the middle of the night when the kids are up. And then they're just, the dad's like, what's going on? And they're talking about having heard a noise and it's just a normal conversation. But then you see like in the back corner, there's just a really pale guy. Don't like that.
Yeah.
Don't like that at all.
Yeah, that's, okay. I did find a way to explain what I was going to say. And that is just the correlation of talking about how these characters have become adults and are sort of dealing with the hauntings from their childhoods is the unique perspective of this show that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And how their memories are colored in such a certain way that they don't see the truth of the place.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal.
Yes.
So,
and the whole idea of like you never quite know, like, if is the mom insane, is it the house, is it both?
Yeah,
it's great.
It is great. That brings us into our wrap-up questions, which does include coming up with favorite examples of haunted houses in horror, in every kind of, you know, medium. So if you've got some that you would like to share.
Yeah, I have some non-traditional ones as well. Like, I would argue that there's in Resident Evil 7, the house is not really haunted, but that house is wrong.
Yep.
And everyone in that house is wrong.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a haunted house. And that there were parts of that game where I was just sitting, you know, on the couch in the dark, and I'm like, I don't feel safe. I'm in my home and I don't feel safe.
Yep.
And that's incredible to me. some other, I like haunted locations and like mysterious locations in games, but the only other like kind of haunted place I can think that I really like is Rapture and BioShock, and I don't really think that's haunted. I think that's just me trying to figure out how to talk about BioShock.
I mean,
It's kind of haunted.
it's I would argue that it's not haunted by ghosts necessarily, but it
No.
is a place that is like dead.
Yeah, it's bad. It's a bad
Like
place.
it's you know, it's a place that where bad things have happened.
Hmm.
Um so I don't know. I think you could argue that.
Yeah, and then I'm playing the new Resident Evil Requiem,
Hmm.
and I'm not super far in it, but every building you're in is terrible all the time in those games. So it's
Um
just and it's, you know, it's like zombies and weird creatures instead of ghosts, but it's still scary. And I think they do a really good job with the zombies and making the zombies seem as not ethereal, but otherworldly, I guess, as a ghost.
mm. There's so I actually just came out of game night, and that is the game that is being
Requiem.
played.
Yeah, I figured.
So, um but I will also add to the fact that I think that the original mansion from the first Resident Evil is a
It's
really
terrifying.
good haunted house, and it is terrifying, and there's all manner of terrible shit going on in it. But the
Yeah.
one thing that it exudes is this like you feel a heaviness the minute that you're in the game. You
Yeah.
feel a heaviness as soon as you start playing, and maybe that's because once you've played it, you kind of anticipate what's to come. You know that there's stuff happening, but then again, I feel like even if you haven't played it, you know something is wrong. um,
Yeah.
and it's more than just the average zombie. There's, you know, there's other terrible, terrible things that have happened, and then the reactions and the things that have come because of those bad actions are still within the mansion. So technically, it is haunted. That's my.
Yes. You could also, I mean, if you really wanted to, I just watched Titanic again like this past weekend. You could also argue that the Titanic is a haunted house, even
Yep.
in that movie, because she's when Rose is old, she's imagining all these people from her past and the people who have moved on. And she's kind of haunted by them and haunted by the Titanic.
Yeah.
So
That one's
if
a
it's a little bit of a
particularly
stretch.
sad um haunted ship. I mean, but then you can also go to Ghost Ship as the very close
Oh man.
other haunted boat movie.
Ghost Ship starts so good and then just doesn't continue that way.
No, sadly not.
I couldn't think of, I was trying to think of like the most off the wall haunted location in any piece of media I've experienced before, but I can't think of anyone that's like weirder.
Um, I feel like there's some dark pictures like anthology.
Yeah.
They get like most of their stuff revolves around haunted locations,
I guess
and
Until Dawn is kind of, it's like a haunted ski lodge.
it's yeah, haunted mines, and
Yeah.
that then kind of re goes everywhere on the mountain.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a
but
hard one to
the
explain too because there's
that,
so many locations.
there's yeah, there's a lot. There is an asylum in that as well.
Yeah.
Um,
And the asylum has there's a huge section that is just hospital-like.
Yep.
And I think there's a morgue too, so it ticks like every box on the haunted house scale.
There's a Dark Pictures game, which is they're in Iraq, I think, and present day, and then they kind of fall into like an old, what used to be like an old kingdom, and now it's kind of like a tomb, and that is haunted by things that happened in the past and creatures, and so I think that while not executed super well, I do think that is a really interesting location and idea. But I guess then it kind of also just falls into like sort of mummy tomb. No, there aren't mummies, but it is kind of like haunted tomb.
Yeah, and I think that haunted tomb is much less scary to me than haunted house, because haunted tomb, I'm like, yeah, there's a dead person there, of course. But haunted house, I'm like, I don't think there's a dead person here. I hope there's not a dead person here.
Yeah, no. Yeah, why am I struggling to think of anything?
You're going to be haunted by it tonight.
I am
right before you go to sleep. You're going to remember every haunted house piece of media you've ever seen.
God. Yeah, this is horrible. I'm feeling very unprepared. And there's been several haunted. Oh, well, okay. Now I will. This is one that I am actively reading right now, so I would be remiss if I did not mention The Reformatory.
Oh God, that book is so good. It's so scary.
The Reformatory is there are haints that sort of go after characters. That's
in a school.
And it is a school. Yeah, it's like a prison / school.
Very loosely a school.
Yeah. But there, I mean, there's definitely a school. So it's that one is definitely worth reading. That's by Tananarive Due.
Yeah. It's so good. I've actually been recommending that one to. I had several people hit me up on Instagram lately asking if I knew any books that kind of reminded me of Sinners. And I was like, that's a similar, like, spooky Southern vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got haints in it.
Yeah. It's very God, it's such a hard. I'm listening to the audiobook right now. Which is it's done extremely well, but it's also just like
upsetting.
The emotion. It is upsetting. The emotions that these characters are going through being displayed. You feel so horrible.
Yeah.
But it's so far it's a very beautiful book. It's a hard book to read, but it's beautiful, and it is certainly worth reading. So,
especially if you love Southern Gothic or anything that feels, swampy and kind of humid.
Mm-hmm. Yep. My second question in the wrap-up questions is, have you ever visited a haunted house?
Oh, okay. I was hoping we would get to this one. Mm-hmm. So you mean like a house that is haunted, right? Not like a haunt.
No, an actual haunted house.
Okay, yeah. So this is kind of funny because I think I've only talked about this on a podcast maybe one time, but I'm spiritually sensitive. Okay. And I can usually tell when I enter a space if it's haunted or not. The two places I've been that made me feel the worst where the sorrel weed house in Savannah, Georgia, especially the basement. The basement feels terrible. And then Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, because it's like an
Okay.
old funeral home, and he just put all these cursed objects in it. And I'm like,
Oh my
it's a
God.
terrible idea. Like, there's a life preserver from the Titanic in there. There's like James Dean's smashed up car. There's the rocking chair from The Conjuring. From like the real story of The Conjuring,
Mhm.
not the movie. And it feels so bad in there. It feels so
Yeah.
bad.
That's
I can't describe it. It just feels like, I don't know. It feels evil. And they
that's
would let people go to the basement if you did like the VIP tour
oh
or the
God.
RIP tour, whatever. But I was like, I don't think I'd want to go in the basement, because from what I've heard about the basement, like a lot of the people who work there will not go in the basement.
Oh geez.
So there's something wrong with that basement.
I mean, I remember that I've seen episodes of, there was a TV series, an accompanying TV series. So I've
Yeah,
seen
Ghost
a couple of those.
Adventures.
Not Ghost Adventures actually,
Oh,
but it's
they did one on
about
the house.
yeah, it's about the haunted objects.
Oh,
I
okay.
think
Oh
it's on
God.
Hulu,
It's
possibly.
probably called Haunted Objects, if I had to guess. He's
It
not very
might be.
imaginative.
Yeah. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, they go through a few of the objects. I didn't watch very many episodes. I don't know why. I think I just sort of forgot about it.
it's probably because of Zach Bagans, because he's something.
uh,
I based the guy in Unboxed off of him loosely,
nice.
or not loosely, but
Um,
that
he's a
very like
character.
paranormal frat bro
Yeah.
vibe.
So anyone here who has not watched Ghost Adventures, it's entertaining in the most like obnoxious sense. Like you watch one episode, you've seen all of them.
Yeah, they're all the
Um
same pretty much.
and at some point it just kind of became like, this is good background TV
Yeah,
to have on, because you can always assume that Zach Baggins is going to, channel some energy from some ghost at some point, and then Aaron the cameraman is
you're
going
gonna
to,
get sick or slapped or pushed down the
or
stairs.
or
Bless
run
him.
into a room and just kind of yell a lot and be like,
It,
"Sup,
God.
ghost, I'm here."
And
Uh,
they're just so like rude to the ghost. And I'm
yes,
like, yeah, okay, no wonder you're getting possessed and pushed down the stairs. You don't have any manners.
yeah, it just,
I'm built different. I'm polite. I could survive it.
yeah. I mean, like, why the idea that somebody is? I mean, they are doing this purely for the attention and the money and what
Hmm.
have you, but also the idea that you can just walk into a place with that reverence, um and be like, "Sup, ghost."
Yeah, it's like
I'm here for the money.
a similar energy, but not quite as bad as they used to be BuzzFeed Unsolved. Now they do Ghost Files. Ryan and
Oh,
Shane. Yeah,
yeah.
they're a little more. They're a little sillier with it, but I'm still like, why? Why do we have to have people being mean when they go in?
Yeah.
Why can't you be nice? Be like, hey,
Yeah.
ghost, can we talk, please? I feel like that would get a better response.
I think there becomes this like, I need to prove myself. I need to look tough.
I think it's probably a man thing.
Yeah. I don't it's like I said, it's entertaining in the sense that, like, these guys are idiots.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
uh and you kind of know that, like, at some point some bad luck is going to befall them from all of this,
I
more
think
than
that's part of
likely.
why you watch it, because you're like, they're
Yeah,
jerks, and you want to see somebody get pushed down the stairs or slapped by a dead Confederate soldier or something.
that's fair. Yeah. um I did a ghost hunting class once, which was an adult ed course.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was run by this group of people who were very, this was kind of their side hobby.
Oh.
Yeah. So the class was a bunch of, other people who liked the idea of ghost hunting. Um, mom and a daughter who wanted to, go hunt a ghost together. That kind of level
Yeah.
of not taking things seriously. I think there were Wikipedia articles that were referenced
Yeah, they're trying to
regularly.
be just like a little spooked.
And but also these people had the worst luck I have seen of anyone. Like they really should not have been doing this.
Oh no.
I think one of the guys that was running the class had a heart attack while running the class.
Oh my God.
Not actually, I should rephrase. It wasn't while he was in the class teaching. It was like one of the other days of the week. He had a
Oh,
heart
okay.
attack. He went to the hospital and then he like came back to teach the class like a week later. And
Still, I don't know about that.
then their house was also falling apart, and like it was like one thing after another after another after another, and it couldn't have been a clearer sign that like you should not be doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Do not mess with all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I think that's another reason that the Haunted Museum felt so weird is because I'm like, no one should be messing with this, but especially not this man.
Yeah.
I have no faith that this man can spiritually contain anything that's in here. So if there's any kind of incident, what's he gonna do? He can't do anything.
That is fair. I do have to wonder if he is just so numb from every trip to every like saloon or asylum or hospital or
Yeah.
whatever. He just can't feel anything anymore.
That's the only way he
So
can feel any emotion is to
I
scare the shit out
I
of them.
guess that's I just wonder. Also, Zach Baggins' attorneys do not come after us.
I think they have a lot of other things to do.
Yes, I was joking purely, but anyway, getting slightly off topic, we have come to the end of our program. I do want to thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
For talking about haunted everything, not just houses. Where can people find you to sort of keep up with what's going on with your writing, to figure out, how to pre-order How to Escape a Tiger Cult?
It is now available for pre-order. And I will say that everyone who pre-orders the book gets the first 3 chapters of the book for free. So you don't even have to wait until October 6th. You can start reading it right away. I'm on Instagram. That's probably where I post most often. I'm Briana Morgan Books on Instagram. I have a Facebook, but I don't really use that. I have a website, brianamorganbooks.com. And then sometimes I'll post on Threads if I remember that it exists. And I have a newsletter.
Nice. Okay. Is it, can we sign up for the newsletter on your website?
Yes, it's on my website and it's also in my Instagram bio. There's a link that says get a free short story. That's the opt-in for the newsletter, but you also do get a free short story.
Cool.
And
All
it's
right.
about a ghost.
Oh, sweet. It's even on theme.
About a haunted car or a haunted
right.
person in a car, I guess.
Okay. All right. So you guys have your assignments. You need to go sign up for the newsletter, get the haunted person in the car story, pre-order How to Escape a Tiger Cult, get the first 3 chapters because I know that that's what I'm going to be doing as soon as I have money. And then you should also check out all of the different things that we talked about during this show, including the Cronenberg story that you wrote in your collection.
The Mistake House. Yeah.
Yeah. Because that sounds awesome.
It's a weird one. I actually think you would love it if you haven't read it.
I definitely want to read it. So
and if you
again,
if you read it and don't love it, don't tell me.
I'm sure
you couldn't find it.
I'm sure that I will love it. It's in the Trick or Treater and other stories, right?
Yes, it's one of the other stories.
Okay.
You see how I name things? It's I just name it what it is.
It that works. It's not playing around. All right. So you guys, thanks for joining us this evening. Tomorrow we have this is our first of back-to-back episodes. Tomorrow we have Jason Alexander on. We're going to be talking about psychological horror, which is something that I mentioned. So we'll probably mention haunted houses briefly tomorrow too. But you should join us. It'll be 8 p.m. Thursday, the 19th. So make sure that you come see us again, and we hope that you all have a good night. Take care. Get haunted.